Okay, we should now be on YouTube. And it looks like everything's working. So I'm going to go back again and show the sky. This is what we're doing tonight. This is Saturday night. And this is the weekend of On the Moon Again, the international program out of France. So anyway, this is our participation in this international event. So what we're doing is testing various parts of our system for astronomy, astrophotography, and so on. So we just got through testing the Dwarf 2 related to the moon. And I'm looking at my screen there to see what's happening. So I guess what I got to get used to is I'm looking at this on the delay from YouTube. And therefore things are happening a little bit later, like 20 seconds later, and I'm still not used to that. There's different ways to monitor this. I do have a monitor system up there on the right, which is what I wanted to test here tonight with our monthly newsletter that goes through the best views of constellations for the month. So we just published it for July. And what you see on the screen there is actually tonight's time and date out of Killeen, Texas, location. And that is the sky looking west. So you can see there the moon. And the moon is in the west and will set sometime after 11 o'clock here. So right now, that's 11 p.m. So right now it is 10 p.m. So the moon is will be setting probably another hour to hour and a half. And you can see the program that I run is called Starry Nights. It's an old program that I have running in an old computer. So I've had it for years. I haven't updated it, but it's still doing a good job. And it's coming into, let me see if I can show you that. This is the ATM system with the Mini Pro. And I've got 4 inputs working. At this point, I've got a camera that's where bringing in the sound. And you can see the secondary computer there. That's not the one transmitting, but that's the one that I can transmit other things off of there into the system and then switch back and forth. So I'm going to switch back now to this Starry Night program, and that's on input 2, and there we're back there. So what I wanted to do with this test is to actually go over our newsletter. Anybody can download it that wants to, or we can send it to you. And what we're doing is looking at it for July. July is a super month to see the deep sky objects, especially the Messier one. So we'll go through the first July, 2nd, 3rd, maybe up to the 4th, and just show you what the newsletter shows you, and then what you can do. As I said, we now are members. We have 3 members with the Dwarf 2, and at this point, we just tried one member getting on from his house, which is about 25 miles from where I'm at. The other member lives in that same town, which is 25 miles away. So what we're hoping to is establish a news network on Zoom of people who are interested in using the Dwarf 2 and showing it for the various things. So anyway, let me switch to our newsletter and I'll show you what it looks like. That's not the switch I wanted, and it's a little complicated with all these microphones and monitors and switchers working by yourself. You're the sound engineer, and you're also the TV engineer and a producer. So right now you can see our newsletter, and I'll take myself off there for a few minutes. And I should be gone there in about 20 seconds. And you'll see the first page of our newsletter, which I'll scroll through. And now I'm gone. So anyway, you can see our newsletter. If remote video astronomy, we've been doing this since 2015 and publishing this monthly newsletter each year. So basically it doesn't change based on the zodiac. Almost every month is exactly the same. What does change is the position in the sky based on location and timing. So the location for most of these things is the same each year in January or in July. So July is a good month, which you'll see here. There's the 1st of July, and then you can see on 1st of July, these are the best viewing times, are called the collimation times. That's the time at which that constellation is 90 degrees above your location on the Earth and viewing it. And that's at astronomical midnight. So that's the best time to get your telescope looking straight up. However, that's not really realistic. So it does give you within a certain time frame of 3 months or 1 month or 1 week or 1 night, fairly close location for all the things you want to see. So I'll bring you up there. The first one you'll see is Scutum, and it's July 1. So I'll go over here. And there it is. And we've got these from a book from Cambridge University. And there you'll see the constellation. So first thing you have to do is learn the constellation and what they are. And you'll see the constellation there is nothing but property in the sky. And this is a 2D representation of a 3D sky. So what it goes by is what they call the CP, the central point. So the central point is where that would come up as the best viewing time at astronomical midnight. And then you see all the other constellations around it, Aguilar there, and Septus Cauda. And that's all you see on this one. I'll bring up a little bit more with this scroll wheel. And you'll see some of the facts that you need, or maybe don't need, but would like to have, or you'd like to teach students. Here it gives you a lot of the information, the name, the neighbors, It'll give you the locations in the sky, and there you'll see the most important thing for what we're doing next month will be the Messier object. You'll see Messier 11 and Messier 26 on that night. So on July 1st, in a few days, those are the ones to look for. So let's go up a little bit more. And there on page 2, you'll see a better description, which we don't need to read it all here. What you need to do is get the basic concept of what we're doing. And there is one of the photographs. For those that don't know, this dwarf zoom is made in China. It's just been come out fairly recently, and it's a complete package of a telescope. It's about the size of an older video camera, and it's got the built-in, it's got a tripod that comes with it, and built into this little electronic device are a telephoto lens and a high power lens, the telephoto and a wide angle lens for finding or finder type lens. And then it's also got video photography built in, and photography, astrophotography modes. In those modes, it's also got stacking, where you can stack up as many as a couple of hundred photographs, and then it will work with a stacking and come up with a photograph. And then you can take that photograph, and all this is done within the dwarf itself. It's not done in the computer, and it's not done offline. So it's amazing what this thing will do. And it only sells for around $500 with some 2 neutral D filters and a high contrast filter. So it'll do a lot related to astrophotography and deep space objects. So that is one Messier Wild Duck Open Cluster, Messier 11. So now I'm going to bring up the next one. And we're going to go on to July 4th. Which is a good time to look. Most people will be out on the dock watching fireworks, so you can stay out for a couple hours and look at the sky. And here you'll see Lyre. Lyre is the HAARP. And in a few seconds, you'll see that there. And you'll see the central point of Lyre and its neighbors up there on the top of it. You'll see Cygnus and Hercules above it. So these you'll see in the first page, it'll have the information on the neighbors. And you'll also see there, within it is Vega and M57. M57 is pretty close to the central point. So we'll bring that up a little bit more. This is in a PDF format that can be printed out or viewed on a tablet or viewed on a phone as you're outside looking at. So here you can see the information on the HAARP, its neighbors there, Draco, Hercules, and one more, I can't read it on the screen. I'm old and my eyes are not very good. But anyway, you'll see there Messier 56 and 57. Should be able to view this night with the dwarf and in deep sky astrophotography mode. So we'll bring up now and there you go. You'll see it in a few seconds. This is one of the famous ones that people look for, so it's a good one to see on the 4th of July. It looks like fireworks, and that's M52, and that's the Ring Nebula. So that you should be able to find with the dwarf relatively easy. It won't look as good unless maybe you take a couple hundred pictures of them and stack them and then look at it from that aspect. But anyway, probably on the 4th, we'll be showing this again just like this, because we're trying to build an audience in some of these astronomy systems. We're going to start working on Astronomers Without Borders and see if we can get anybody from there involved with this. There's a lot of people using the dwarf for this type of astrophotography and astrovideo. So let's go on and look at. There's a description now, you can read it on the Ring Nebula. You can read that when you get the PDF. Oh, I guess. I guess I'm getting cheated. I have young students that I mentor. And it looks like the next nebula is not M, whatever it was is not there, and another one was missing from July 1st. So, but that's okay. You'll see this newsletter is pretty long, and I'll show you. We also do the moon. Basically, we're not into planetary astronomy so much. But we are into the moon because the moon, it's easy to view, easy to teach. So I'll go and show you some of that now. I'll stop there a minute so you can see a couple of the Messier objects there. That's Lagoon Nebula and Omega Nebula. And this is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius, I'm sure most of you who are astronomy know that many of the Messier objects will be around the time when Sagittarius is most visible. Okay, and I'm going to go forward a little bit here. Back to Lagoon and Omega, and they should be easy for the dwarf to pick up. And there's another one, the Trifid. So it'll be up there in a minute. You're not seeing it because I'm a little bit ahead with what I see here. So the Trifid Nebula on Messier 20. So there's at least one gentleman on dwarf who has done a Messier's marathon with the dwarf, which is interesting. We're in Texas, so we don't have a lot of high power astronomy here. kind of interesting that we don't, because we've got pretty good dark skies through much of the state. We'll have one of our members down in July at Big Bend, which is one of our dark sky national parks. And we'll be trying to do sort of like this series to Zoom from them. So, and that's his vacation with his family for a month in their recreational home. And there's the Sagittarius cloud. All kinds of things to see in July, and especially the first couple days, the first week. So I'm going to go down now. And you can see me scrolling down through these days. The page numbers are July 10th. I want you to see it so you know what's there. July 15th. Now, it is a good idea to use this with starry nights or stellarium. So again, it's good to have both systems working for you. Something that you can put in your hand and look at. And then where you can see the live screen that I was just showing you a little bit ago with Starry Night. And you'll see here is, I think we passed it up. Sagittarius, no, maybe it's still coming. But some of the summer triangle constellations are here too in July. And you can see we're working our way through. And there's a beautiful constellation, the Dumbbell constellation. And that should come up. And there you see it will come up July 25th. So you go out to July with a bang. Go back there and let you look at that, the Dumbbell Nebula. I'll leave it on there a little bit so it'll be kept caught up. And if you can see these with a dwarf, it'll be unbelievable. I tried for 3 or 4 years to do this in astronomy, but all kinds of scopes, cameras, never really succeeded. However, I'm old, my eyes are bad, and my hearing bad, so it could be that younger eyes and younger people could have done better with it, but 2 of us who are elderly tried it and did not succeed very well. So hopefully the dwarf telescope is going to help us. And there is July 30th, Cygnus, the swan, part of the summer triangle. So we're working our way through July, so we'll go on here through Cygnus. And there is Comet Halley and the North American Nebula. Obviously, this was taken a while ago for Comet Halley. I presume that comet Halley was around 1986. Most of these pictures, you can see some of them have credits on them, come from NASA. A lot of this other information comes from Sky and Telescope magazine system. So anyway, we'll go on. And there's July 31st. And now we'll get to our moon. So what we're doing tonight is a moon watch. This is international. Okay, on the moon again, put on by a nonprofit organization in France. And we were tied into the Apollo moon landings through our area here. And this is part of our publication there. Actually, I witnessed both of these. And Apollo 11 and Apollo 15, which you can see there are in the Maria Tranquillita. What we're doing with our mentored kids now, and when I say kids, I mean youth, elementary school, middle school, and high school, and hopefully in the near future, collegiate level. But we're built into and working with the Armistice program. Armistice 1, Armistice 2 now, and then Armistice 3, where we're going to put a man of color and a female, hopefully Hispanic, what NASA is hoping for, on the moon in a year or two. So what we're doing is we're teaching all this electronics, astronomy, and so on. So we have the small robot Zoomy by Robolink that is unbelievable for the technology. It's got a Raspberry Pi 0, I guess it is, built in it. It drives it, and so on. So we are actually teaching people how to make a floor map with moon photography. And then they can actually fly the micro drone and run these micro robots over it. So those of you who are following this know that the first landings on the moon, Apollo through 17, I guess it is, were all in the northern hemisphere. So Armistice 3 is actually going to go around the North and South Pole rather than around the equator and land on the South Pole. And they're working on now 10 spots, and there's competition to name those and pick the right spot. So if anybody wants to do that, you can sign on to the NASA website for a lot of what I'm talking about here and pick up what they're doing. So anyway, here you can see in a minute most of the NASA missions. There you see Apollo 11, first man on the moon, walking on the moon, and you'll see Apollo 15. That's where we set down the first vehicle on the moon. So those are important times. And then you can see across the equator there of the moon, Apollo 12, 14, and 11. So we try to get our kids to learn the moon. The ones we try to get them to learn is up at the top there. I'm trying to see if my pointer will go there. Yeah, Maria across the top there. You see that? That's Maria Frigoris, which is the Sea of Cold. So that's one we want our kids to learn. obviously where Apollo 11 landed. You got Tranquility and Serenity there for 15. And then you have the Alpine Mountain there, that mountain range right next to there. So we try to get them to learn those. And then the Sea of Crisis, which is not in the picture, but is at the middle of the picture off on the right side, or maybe left side, depending on how it's coming through on your monitor. And there you can see, you'll see in a minute, the South Pole. That's where we're landing, and therefore you can follow the X there. And that's where we're going to land, somewhere in there in a year or two, with a man and a female on the moon. And you can tie into any of these competitions that NASA has. NASA has a competition now, had one last summer, for university students to build a mining machine to mine rare materials on the Earth or on the moon. And they also have a competition to pick the right area and crater. You can see it's got a little bit more complicated than landing up in the north. There's not so very good areas. The craters are not as near as big as the Marias are. So, yeah, but that's what they're going to do. So they also have some other competitions. As I said, the one that we're working on is trying to get involved with one where we actually will have micro drones landing up there in Apollo 11 site and Apollo 15 site, and we'll have the Zoomy micro robot that can travel, and all these can be coded for autonomous trips. They also can use QR codes to tell them where to go. So the Zoomy, you can put on there Apollo 11 and a QR code, and you can put the coding in to tell it how to travel, or you can put the coding, say, down here on Armistice 3, give the crater that they're going to pick a name, latitude and longitude. That's something else. Our students must learn latitude and longitude on Earth, where they're at, and also these areas on the moon. And then they can fly or drive the Zoomy down there. So let's go a little bit on from this part so you can see what else we're doing. There's Apollo 11 statistics. Buzz Aldrin, who was a man who walked on the moon, is now deceased, but his family has the Buzz Aldrin Foundation. So if you're a teacher or interested, they have a nonprofit organization that they are giving out these floor maps. One is a moon map, a large moon map, and a large Mars map. So all you have to do is compete for it, write in, and you may get one free from the Buzz Aldrin Family Foundation to use in your teaching thing. So there's a lot of teaching and nonprofit money going into NASA at this point. There you can see lunar soil samples. That's what this competition was last summer with 10 universities. And now they have a competition with companies too, for to build a 3D printed landing site on the moon. So we're having within our teaching, monitoring, mentoring system, we're teaching the kids to build 3D landing pads for this. The reason they need a landing pad is they're going to live in the space station above the moon. they're not going to live in the moon as they were back in the 60s and 70s. They found that's probably not feasible, but they can go down and work. And your nights are in the moon, dark, last for about 14 days. So they can stay down there for a day or two if they have the proper equipment, do their mining, and then go back to the space station with the mining products, which will hopefully will be some gold, copper, silver, and so on, lithium. And then they can send that back to Earth. And that's what a lot of these people are putting money into Mars are hoping for the same thing to Mars. So when these rockets land on the moon, they kick up lots of dust. This dust is like sand and it goes all over the place. And it's like small pieces of glass. It cuts into their uniforms. So they have to have special uniforms to walk on the moon and to land and so on. So they don't want a lot of this dust around. So the competition is to build a landing pad that will take care of getting the dust away from the landing and the takeoff sites. And if they want to take off with somebody still on the moon, that they won't be caught in a dust storm caused by the rockets. So anyways, a lot of theory at this point, but there's a lot of students. And we've actually done some of these for the students. If anybody wants to participate in that. Our landing pads we are building with various things in them, such as LEDs. So the kids are learning the different color LEDs and why they're different colors, what it takes to get the electricity to them through Kirchhoff's law and Ohm's law and so on, and parallel circuits and serial circuits. So we're working primarily with landing pads that have a LED in all four corners. And we're also working with some, teaching them how to do a sampling of the voltage of the power supply with 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, and 4 lights. Like a lot of these devices have 4 green lights that show you how much battery you got left by lights and so on. So we're putting these into the landing pads and so on. So anyway, we'll have a lot more to do. Anybody is welcome to contact me through, I'll bring that up here. There's Apollo 15. I'll go a little slow so you get a chance to scroll this and know what's in this here. And as I said, this is July. We'll have another one in August, and August is another good month for Messier Earth. So there's Apollo 15, moon landing. The information on it, latitude and longitude. Tranquility Base. And then what we have here, we're going to add to this. It's not ready for publication yet, so we're not into the 1st of July, but we've got 3 pages and we've got 3 open pages. And it looks like one of them will probably be the moon with latitude and longitude lines, so that you can actually find latitude and longitude on the moon. So the kids or youth will be able to find the latitude and longitude on these 10 sites that are being explored by NASA for the future landing site of Artemis 3. The next page will probably have one with a line drawing, because sometimes it's easy to learn these things from a line drawing with all of the what we consider important lunar topography, such as the craters and the Marias. So, and we're also preparing here in Texas. We're in a pretty good location for the solar eclipse that's coming up here in October. We will be in 80% viewing, 80% lighting of the area, so we'll be able to see it relatively well. And that will be a preparation for next April, which we are in 100%. And I can't think of illumination's the word I was searching for a lunar or solar eclipse. And they expect our city here, which is a city about 100,000 plus people, to double in population that day by tourists coming in to see them. So we're trying to train our youth for it. Right now, our school system, local school system, has ordered 40,000 pairs of glasses to view the moon with. We're going to teach our youth to view it with the dwarf. As I said, the dwarf can be used for solar viewing without anything other than the 2 neutral density filters that come with it, and for lunar. So this is why we're working hard on the dwarf, because we hope to do this type of webcast with it. So now I'm going to show you, these are our 3 web pages. And those are blank pages now. And you'll see there our final page. It'll come up in a minute. And you can see our information. You'll see there our website, which is not really a website, it's a social network. So we had a lot of problems with it. It's been up for, maybe 5 or 6 years. And we've got people trying to sell all kinds of drugs from Canada and so on. So basically, there's a heavy input to get into it. You have to answer 4 or 5 questions related to music and astronomy and so on. And then I have to give you permission. But then it's pretty much like Facebook. For example, in the accordion world that we were in, we have about 300 or 400 people from around the world on one of those networks there. And you have separate networks. And this one happens to be Texas Accordion Net under that there. So if you're interested in it, just get on, it'll come up in my email, and then I have to approve you. So don't play games with the questions, so we won't let you in, because we don't want a lot of scammers. What we want is real hardcore people. So you've got to say you have a telescope, tell me what kind you got, or in the world of music that you have an accordion, what kind it is and what level you're playing or whatever, and so on. So my email is, nope, that one is wrong. It's good I'm doing this, because that needs to be corrected very quick. We still, as the YouTube is correct. And our YouTube is Mechatext. You'll see we've got about 400 videos there. And we don't do a lot of them live, but we're going to do a lot more starting in next school year in the fall semester. What this was one of our old systems to stream on Ustream.tv. I still have it, but we don't use it now. What we're using is Blackmagic HEM Mini Pro and Zoom, which is far easier to use, more powerful, and a lot cheaper. So I've got to change that. And then my email there would be right. It's DFKOTT, but it's going to have @AOL.com. I've been on AOL for 10 or 15 years and very happy with it. So basically, you'll be able to get a hold of me through the social network, our social network, through YouTube. We leave most things open for comments until we start getting some of the oddballs out there. And there's lots of them that we have to cut comments off. Or monitor them is the easiest way to do that. And then email. So I'll go and show you our last page. And this is also the front page of our newsletter. So you'll see it in a minute. So you can see the whole night sky. So as I said, look at that. The first one I said, 1st of July, 4th of July is an ideal time to do this. And there is our Aquila and Cygnus, which is part of the summer triangle, and Lyra up there in July 4th. So if you have clear skies, which we had tonight here, one of the first nights in quite a while, our weather's changed a lot. But after 4th of July, we usually have clear skies until Labor Day. So 4th of July usually is we don't have rain. We have what we call a dry season. So we don't have very many cloudy skies, and we hardly ever have any rain during August. So anyway, you can pick the days that you can go out, and I'll let you know, those who are interested, and follow through with this. And I'm going to go back now to show me in there, and you'll see how I can manipulate all these. And I'll be up there in the upper corner again. And then I'm going to show you my second camera. I've got 2 cameras going. And there I've got my insert with one of my PTZ cameras and so on. And then in a minute, you'll see my system come up with the and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not, but I'm going to lay my hand over here where you can see. I'm going to push it. You'll see it in a minute there. And it's the ATM Mini. And I'm going to do a fade to black. So in 20 some seconds, you'll see it fade to black. And it blinks red now when it's there, so look at it. Then I hit it again, and I come up again. So you can see while I'm talking there, if you have a reason to not show you video, which is not an uncommon problem, depending on where you're at, you can do a fade to black and still stay on camera, still stay on Zoom, and still stay on transmitting the script. So for those of you who may be interested in this super tight work, we're on YouTube, and on YouTube, the captioning should be coming up. If not, it definitely will be coming up when YouTube renders this video. And it may take them an hour or 2 to do it. And then the transcript, if you look at the hamburger dots down at the right, click on them, you'll see transcript. You can click on that transcript, and all this closed captioning will come up also as an insert. What I do when I want to learn something is I just copy and paste all that into Word. And I've got every word that was said if I want to use it for high power learning. And everything is time coded. So you know most words, most paragraphs, most sentences will have a time code. So if I know Zoomy, I talked about in Word, I can look for Zoomy and it'll find Zoomy the first time, and it'll show me the time code at 10 minutes, 30 seconds. So this is a very powerful learning tool for any student, especially collegiate level, and of course, especially a doctorate level. I'm a retired Army physician and surgeon, so I spent 34 years in the U.S. Army. So basically, that's pretty much it. I want to go back now and just sign off with two things here. So I'm gonna, on the computer over here, I'm gonna bring up and for those of you who don't know, I'm going to do this in a hurry. If you don't want your icon shown, you can go up to video here, go down, and hide icons, and your icons are gone. So now I've got a good screen to use for nighttime sky vision, moon vision programs as a background. I'm going to switch that in. And there you'll see it. The magic of technology. So now I'm going to go back to the sky and you'll see the moon and the constellations have moved considerably since then. And there they are. I'll get rid of me. So anyway, this went very good. Had a lot of problems with our Zoom, with our dwarfs before, but again, there's a pretty steep learning curve you can see to what we're doing. Astronomy itself is a learning curve, and then you, on top of that, you add all of this broadcasting and webcasting and podcasting, closed captions on multiple devices. And you can see there the hand. I don't have a pointer, but you can see there the moon. And say that moon is coming down. It's still not down. And it's 10:57 here now. So anyway, I'm going to bring off our sign off screen again and wrap this up, come off of YouTube, and hopefully get some comments from people and some people signing on to become part of our Armistice programs that will include, at least here in Texas, the solar eclipse in October here, and in April of next year, and then around the world for NASA Armistice 2 that we'll be working with. And next year, I presume this French nonprofit organization will be doing another back to the moon. So I wasn't able to show the moon tonight. I'm going to end by saying I'm not really sure why they picked this. So if they're watching it, I understand astrophotographers like to have a moon when you have the shadows. I like to teach when we're teaching the youth a full moon, so they see everything. So I don't need to see all those shadows that they want to find a crater, the depth, the height of it, and so on. I just need to teach the kids how to find their way around the moon. And then, so we use the full moon night primarily. And when the moon goes down, then we do go into our deep sky astrophotography. So that usually may be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. So frequently I can see the moon come up in the east easily from my house. And it comes up at 7, 8 o'clock, good viewing from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock and so on. So basically, most of our moon watches will be done like that. So anyway, as I said, they picked a night where the moon is up during the whole daytime, so we don't see it. So basically, we can't see it until it's almost ready to go down somewhere at, those of you who know civil twilight and nautical, astronomical, 6, 12, and 18 degrees below the horizon, and 6, 12, and 18 above the horizon is when you get sun up and moon set and those things. So we don't see the moon now until it's almost ready to set. So I can't see it from my house at all. So anyway, we're in hopes next time they'll pick a better night. I did want to say NASA has International Observe the Moon Night in October. And we've done that with them for 4 or 5 years, just like this program here. And we've actually had our cameras and telescopes outside. And if you get on our YouTube, you look up lunar eclipse, you'll actually see one of our lunar eclipse with all of our youth working the telescopes and actually doing the dialogue like I'm doing here and so on. And that was a couple of years ago, so that's pretty primitive technology compared to what I've got now. So I'm going to put myself back up. All I have to do is click a button and there we go. So hopefully, if I click the right button, I guess I didn't click the right button. And you can see I can put myself in various corners, by the way. I'm now there, I'm now over here, I'm now here, and now I'm back where we started. And I can make that bigger. I can make that to half the size of the screen, and so on. So those who are interested in learning this, as I said, we're available to teach this. I talk to people around the world just as easy as I talk to them in my hometown here. So I deal a lot on the zone drones with China and also Australia now from the standpoint of teaching. So anyway, you're welcome to contact us. And I'm going to do a sign off if I can figure out how to do this. So what I'll actually do, I guess, I'll see if it works that way, is I will do a fade to black. And there you see the moon right there. And I just brought that cursor down. So you can see the moon, and you can see that it's not a good time to learn the structure of the moon. There's about, I think, 30% illumination, and that's, you can only see a few things. You can't see Maria Frigoris. You can probably see Maria Chisholm, Sea of Crisis, and a few other things, but not a whole lot. So, but that's the one they picked this night for people around the world. So, like it or not, maybe they'll listen to us and pick a different time, and so on and so on. I'm going to do a sign off, and again, contact me, dfkott@aol.com. And I'm going to see how that comes through on closed captioning. This is all artificial intelligence, so we're into artificial intelligence also. dfkott@aol.com. Well, that's readable. Zoomy does artificial intelligence, so I told you it will read QR codes. it'll read blocks of red and blocks of green. So we can put up a stop sign and have it read the stop sign that's red and it'll stop. We take that out, put in green, and green is go, and it will go. This is all done with graphic coding for the kids. So that's runoffs of Scratch, and which are many of them now. Companies are using Scratch, and I believe we're on Scratch 3, and the companies then get in on top of that and give it their name. One of them is Snap. The one from China is probably the best that I've seen, and it's by DF Robots. Anybody that would like to get on that graphic. We're into swarms of drones, at least 5, 10 at a time, and that's why up to now the best hardware and software has come from the companies in China that we're working with. The software is written by DF Robots, and the drone is Lightbee FM for formation flying by Makerfield Company. Anybody wants to fly that. And for those who are teaching and don't have the drones, they can still teach it like this on a big screen. You'll see on our YouTube site, we've got about 400 videos there, a lot of stuff on this technology, and you'll see simulations. So you can actually see 4 of the Lightbee FM drones flying and dancing to Silent Night program. So we actually teach Silent Night. You can see one of our singers singing Silent Night in English and Spanish. So we've got a lot up there for you to start using. Our most viewed video on YouTube, and that's Macatx, M-A-C-A-T-X, is how to dance La Cucaracha. Why that is so popular is hard to believe, but we've had over 500,000 views, over 500,000 views on that. And on some of our technology videos, we've had 100 to 300,000. So we don't get near as many in astronomy, so we're trying to build up that following and so on. So if interested, join us. And I'm signing off now. I'm Dr. Daniel Cott in Texas, and I'm going to do a fade to black and then come out of live stream. And in 20 seconds, you'll see a fade to black.